Hello, and welcome to our fourth episode of Bot Boundaries, where we explore what it means to be human in the age of AI. Today, we're discussing what we learned at CES 2026, including key trends, tech, and standout moments. So let's start out with programming on the marketing side. That was primarily held at ARIA. ARIA is so beautiful. It was really, really busy there. And there was just a variety of CMO insights and marketing leadership and strategy sessions on multiple floors. There were, big halls, smaller meeting rooms, but everything was pretty packed, except towards the end of the day, I think people started to get a little burned out. Anyway, so a few topics to note were really around using data to predict consumer behavior. Another key topic was AI, creativity, and control, and really who owns the future. And also talks around elevating creativity in the age of AI agents and algorithms. There was also a lot of sessions around retail and the creator economy with topics like how to grow brands in an unreasonable world, the creator economy, algorithms, analytics, and monetization, why creators are every brand's most valuable media channel, also the future of creator marketing. I even attended a podcast session, which was really fun since we're new at this. It was really cool to see leaders from every podcast media company there represented. There was also some a lot of entertainment and sports media sessions. I wanted to go see some of the sports media sessions, but there's so much going on. I didn't have time for that. So to really start out, I wanted to dive in and highlight some key takeaways that I think we can all make use of in our approach to marketing and sales in our careers and in our businesses. So first was the idea that AI can scale content, but only creativity can scale growth. Katie, that's something that we've talked about, and I think we'll continue to talk about a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to do a session just on AI and ads, so this is a great teaser
yes,
for that.
Yes, so that'll be really good. Yeah, so there's a lot of anxiety around AI slop, and
Totally.
where the term that a lot of creatives and marketing leaders and advertisers are using is sameness, right? Sameness is easily scalable, but can it really cut through all the noise? There was so much talk about how the brand team really has to be accountable now for that slop and really make sure brand standards are being honored. I think we all have had so much fun, right? Creating, especially with generative AI, content, creatives, and all of that. Now it's really just time to refine and make sure we're still standing out. Particularly Varun Parmar from Adobe, he mentioned how the creative brief has really changed with AI. And I'm experiencing that with my work too, even around pulling more up-to-date search data more easily. So it's making my briefs to my creative team kind of being able to develop much faster, but then also allowing me time to think about how whatever we're about to work on will really differentiate in the market. So going back to that point where they're saying, sameness is easy, but really growing and creating things that will impact growth, that's really where the ROI is still a skill that humans are bringing to the table on creative teams.
That's a great point.
Yeah. He said that it's more about brand safety guardrails for the human, and the humans need to lead that, really checking what AI is churning out. And for the AI agent, it's about using AI to review human-made briefs and make recommendations based on performance data rather than their previous method of taking weeks with user group testing. They're now using more synthetic audiences to test, and that's become really valuable. There's a lot of talk around synthetic data. In software, in marketing, and even in the hardware space. There was a lot of hardware AI that and the physical AI that I'll talk about next. So
would that be similar? I know another hot topic we hear a lot is creating a digital twin of yourself, but it's like a digital twin of an audience. So multiple people in a certain demo, and then seeing how they interact and perform based on previous data.
Precisely that, right? It's a mix of synthetic data first party data that you have internally, third party data that you might purchase or have access to, open source. And yes, you're creating a digital twin to really help your predictions be more precise, right? And the assumptions that the educated assumptions you're trying to make. Yeah. He also said that, it'll be interesting to just see how much time all of this truly saves, right? They have a practice of having, right, multiple AI agents checking the other AI agents' work. And, it's just interesting. We're having to generate so many AI agents because we all know that one AI agent or one piece of generation that's being churned out is not up to our standards. So we're having to create all these agents to check on each other. So it'll be interesting to see, how much time this really saves and really highlights the limitations that we all still experience with creative work that most LLMs are generating. But overall, originality is the emphasis. And since we can all churn out slop, 24 hours a day, but who will still catch the attention and who can really convert that audience that they've caught the attention of is really the ultimate measurement. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I think aesthetics is a big piece we talked about, I think in a previous podcast, is like what happens when things all start looking the same. Then is your brand really standing out, or does it follow your brand guidelines? So I think that's where that oversight of humans and creative and brand owners is super important.
Yeah, totally. So another highlight was around data and precision marketing, which I talked about a little bit there already, but this was a fun topic because as marketers, we're always trying to be precise, not only for ourselves, to be valuable to a team, but often for all of our internal stakeholders. And yet precision is never really completely possible, but it's an important goal. So we make the most of each dollar we spend on marketing and ads. So around precision marketing, it was talked about that there's really no one way to do it. It's really what works best for your company and for your customer. And that data truly is the driver of precision. And personalization, is also part of precision. But I thought what was really a good point that came out of this conversation was that, sometimes personalization can be overkill, right? Yet on the other hand, some of it is really helpful when it's done right. And it should be used the right message, choosing the right message at the right time is really when personalization hits the mark. With most marketers and brands are working with 10 or 15 or more platforms at one time. And, our target customers are experiencing like so many touch points right now that traditional funnel is really more like a network now. And so really, our approach to precision marketing, it's hard and we have to be really thoughtful about it. And it's really on a case by case basis, an organization by organization basis, and a brand by brand basis, and a sector by sector basis. So, it's really complex. And this is where, something we've been talking about a lot, where context is really important in personalization. And that's something we've all learned. Anyone who's been using AI for a few years now, we all know that context is the big challenge and is what is missing. And so catching attention used to be the most important thing in marketing, right? Just getting eyes on whatever it is that you're selling and engagement. But we pretty much know how to do that now. We're all pretty good at that. But now it's about catching the customer where their purchase intent is the highest, because there are so many touch points now that really identifying where they will actually convert is really important and difficult. Another topic that was discussed was privacy and trust, especially with, large organizations like Intuit. It was Meg Baudet. I don't know if I pronounced that right, at Intuit. She talked a lot about how trust is so important, especially with their QuickBooks product. She made the point that while privacy and trust is, absolutely top of their deliverables, on the other hand, consumers are okay now with things like facial recognition if it makes their life easier. And that was the point, that audiences are more willing to give more of their personal data if if the outcome is really going to help make their lives easier or really add value to their lives. So there's an argument that people don't really care about their data anymore.
Mm.
And, it leads me to think if it's generational. And from my research, studies consistently show a generational divide in data privacy, with some younger generations like Gen Z and early millennials often appearing less concerned or more pragmatic about sharing their data for personalized experiences, while other generations, older generations, sometimes express higher general concern, but they take less action in some
Mm.
cases, meaning that the younger generations will actively use privacy tools but also share more on social media on the other hand, and
Mm.
they view their data exchange as given for better service, again just highlighting that um, the consumers seem to be pretty educated on sharing their data, and if you can make their life easier, they're more willing to provide you with that valuable data, so our marketing and our sales are more effective.
Yeah, and I think brand recognition and trust comes in here too. Like Apple did a big campaign when they were launching, I think about 2 years ago, some of the facial recognition and unlock.
Mhm.
And Apple is a brand people trust and they're comfortable with that facial recognition. It's their device. They did a lot of education to the consumers about how that's encrypted and how that's safe. So I do think that's important. Online banking is a good example too. More older
Mm.
generations are getting more comfortable, A, because they have to be now, because a lot of things only accept online payments, or things like Zelle and Venmo. But if it's through their own bank and they see that their bank is associated with Zelle or Venmo, then it's like, oh, okay, I feel a little more comfortable using this brand that I hadn't heard of before because my bank says it's okay or my bank is linking to it.
Yeah, yeah, those are really, really good examples where the value's there. And so, yeah, they're more willing to do it in those cases. So, lots of great marketing topics covered. Really cool to see. In another area, physical AI was really important at CES. I spent a lot of time exploring physical AI, specifically at CES Foundry. CES Foundry was new this year, and it's the home for AI and quantum innovation. It was a 2-day experience where visionaries, disruptors, and global leaders really came together to build what's next. I saw robots folding laundry, dancing, and even making me a fresh cup of cappuccino at the McKinsey activation.
Mm.
Yeah, it was cool.
I would
The
definitely want a laundry robot. So
I know, please, please,
please.
definitely, yeah, and my own barista in house. I would love that.
Yeah, I saw videos of some of them. It wasn't demonstrated there, but like lifting car parts in a factory, super heavy things, and like
Yes.
manipulating really big warehouse components, which I think is a huge unlock too.
Yeah, there were really awesome like visual animations just showing what's happening now and what's coming next.
Mhm.
Everything was just beautiful. So Mackenzie had a meeting room at Fontainebleau where CES Foundry was. And by the way, Fontainebleau
It's
is so
beautiful.
gorgeous. Have you been
Yeah,
there? Oh my God.
I
It's
have.
so pretty. Wow. Anyway, so you had to make an appointment to get into that room. And there they really brought to life the process of bringing an idea to life with AI supported workflows. So it took you step by step around the room. And the use case was making this autonomous coffee maker. So that was really fun. I met some cool people there. But it was a lot of stuff like that, right? And then NVIDIA had a huge presence at every venue and at Fontainebleau too, from chips to partnerships with autonomous vehicles to gaming and to every category of technology. So it seemed. Also at CES Foundry, I also learned just a little bit about quantum computing. I've
Mm.
just been interested in what that even means. So it was fabulous to be able to just go sit and listen to these people talk about what they're building. I'm kind of obsessed now. I mean, these businesses and these minds are running um, and building just awesome things that have the potential, kind of most importantly, to significantly reduce the environmental impact of AI
That's
and data
great.
centers by performing complex tasks with far less energy. I just hope that's the truth because we need that.
Yeah, and that's been one of the major public pushbacks of AI, especially we're seeing that growing in the new year. I think about the environmental concerns and data center concerns and things like that. So quantum computing is definitely a solve for that if we can get it to work effectively.
Yes, yes. It was amazing to see how cold it can get and how traditional computers, immediately when you turn them on, it just heats up the room, heats
Yep.
up itself. So, I'm optimistic. I guess we have to be realistic a lot with technology too, but I'm optimistic that hopefully this will help our environment and what's going on with that. So, just a quick recap. I could talk about so much more, but CES 2026, it was just totally enjoyable. Last year in 2025, it really felt like the era of agentic AI was at the forefront. While AI agents were still talked about almost in every conversation this time in 2026, but the conversation seemed to shift a bit. There was a lot more talk about AI instability, how to manage unpredictable outputs, and what it looks like to stay realistic about AI capabilities at this moment in time. And beyond the software side, there were a lot of robots, more EVs, and so many examples of what AI means when it actually shows up in the physical world.
Yeah.
Yeah, physical AI was so interesting. And what was interesting about it was that it's not so much it it appeared to me, because I don't know much about physical technology, is that the AI is really helping with simulations, because in the
Mm,
physical world, you can't go and test an electric vehicle, an EV on the road with just
yeah.
in the public. You have to test it for miles and miles and miles to prove that it may be better than a human. So AI can help with parts of the simulation. So that was interesting to learn. So, it was inspiring and a good reminder of why we need diverse voices shaping these conversations so this movement grows in a way that benefits all of us, because it's moving, right? And
Yeah.
we all need to, stay involved.
Absolutely. I love it. That's really inspired me to want to go to CES next year. I'm still recovering from foot surgery, so I can't be on my feet this year. But next year, maybe. I think it's a great place. And I love that what you talked about in the shift from AI being only software driven or a big push on agentic and software related AI to physical AI. I think that definitely saw that in the press that was covered, that those things were highlighted, quite robustly. Yes,
Yeah.
software AI and all of that is still great, but I do think like the physical aspect got a lot of the like spotlight this year.
Yeah, cool. And I think next year maybe we can get in as media, because those
Yeah, we
tickets
can
are really
do a pod
expensive.
live from CES.
Yes, and we'll get a discount. That's the key. That's
Ooh,
really expensive to
I
go.
know.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Okay, so cool. What's
All
next?
right. Next, to close out, we're launching a new favorite segment, things no one wants to say on LinkedIn. So, really talking about the elephant in the room, something maybe you wouldn't post on LinkedIn, but something you're like, oh my gosh, I need to talk about this. So, Jackie's going to kick it off with something she observed at CES.
So, at NVIDIA's CES 2026 keynote, Jensen showed up in his signature leather jacket, which fine, that's his thing. But this time the leather had a snakeskin embossing and a little sheen to it. And listen, we're not here to drag this specific outfit. Truly, he looked fine, but it does bring up something we have to talk about. There's a growing trend, and we've all seen it. Tech founders and CEOs suddenly perming their hair, layering their chains, wearing oversized t-shirts and streetwear that they've never touched before, taking up MMA, the whole I'm no longer chuggy starter pack. And look, we love a reinvention, definitely love a restyling show, but some of these guys are doing a lot, maybe too much. We just want our tech leaders to be basic again, make efficient, thoughtful products, build elegant solutions, but maybe with a little more empathy. Leave the cool factor to the creators, the artists, the people who actually live in that world. Because right now, some of them are trying maybe a little too hard. You can just feel the effort.
Totally, totally. I definitely agree with that. Shifting back for a second, even with Jensen Hung's newly polished leather jacket moment, NVIDIA is still the buzzy investment everyone's been talking about for years. But there's also a whole conversation happening around other AI related stocks that might offer a little more upside with less risk. There's so many undervalued companies positioned to benefit from the onshoring trend. And since none of us have a crystal ball, it never hurts to explore a few different lanes and jacket choices as well. And just to be clear, these are our opinions. We're not financial advisors, but we're just here. We are qualified to give some advice, being in tech for a while. And also maybe just drop the trying to look street style or street era by bringing back business casual energy. It works fine. And I think you can tell when something's inauthentic or someone's trying too hard.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about authenticity. Exactly. Authenticity is more important than ever. And we are somewhat qualified to give advice on taste. So
yes, and I also
listen
think
to
like
us.
even from a fashion standpoint, I love fashion and I love dressing up. And I think, I own many leather jackets. My favorite leather jacket I've had for almost 20 years. So I think that becomes something that's a part of you and something that's authentic, something that you're not just throwing on. And you can tell when a leather jacket's brand new. And I don't love that look.
Yeah, and especially in the era of AI, it's pretty serious what's happening. And we need these leaders to really be very thoughtful about what they're building. And sometimes, like, I'm just wondering, take a little bit of that energy. Let's put it into thoughtfulness about AI autonomy at
Yes.
this
You don't want to
moment.
I think the big thing is you don't want to pull focus, right? And if you're highlighting something and you're presenting something on stage, the focus is on, the great innovation, in some ways the slides, you're there vocally to like explain it, but I don't want like visually what I'm wearing to take away from that ever. So I think, just from my own like PR standpoint, that's what I would advise people of like, you want to be polished and look great and feel comfortable, but you don't want whatever you're doing to be such like a swing at the fence that it takes away from the actual content.
Yeah. Great points. All great points. Well, cool. So that's a wrap for this episode. Always grateful to have you all here with us. And so good seeing you today, Katie, as always.
You too. I loved learning about CES and living vicariously through you and your trip.
Yeah, thank you. It was really fun. So where can everyone find you?
So you can always find me on LinkedIn at Katie Wilson, or Serious Moonlight Consulting is my business name, and that's on Instagram as well.
Awesome. And you can find me on LinkedIn at Jackie Gutierrez and on Instagram and TikTok at Business Growth Gal. And please follow us, Bot Boundaries, on at Bot Boundaries on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on all platforms and YouTube also. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you, Katie.
See ya.